It is a period of Star Wars mania. As new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Force. I am your host, David Cottingham, along with Casey Cooley.
Hello.
We just had an epic battle.
It's probably our most epic.
That was, definitely.
Although, you did pretty good at beating me, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking about Star Wars, the card game.
Yeah, we fought.
We fought. Yeah. I was the Bounty Hunter affiliation.
Yeah.
Pure deck. Actually, pure now because I actually took out my neutral.
Okay, so it's not pure if there's a neutral?
It's not technically. Yeah.
Okay.
Pure means absolute, you know.
And then I don't really have that many pure decks.
Right. But you're one-sided affiliation, basically. So you were the Jedi.
The Jedi.
And that was a long game because you had the Force on to balance a lot, which
that's the
caused
only
me just to tick the dial once.
Is that
every
the
turn.
only time I damaged you was because of that?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I had those corrupt officers, man.
That and you just defended. You always won the edges. You always won the edges most of the time.
I was only deploying like one unit at a time.
Yeah.
Because I knew I didn't have the icons.
Yeah.
So, and I knew you would with Jedis. So, but that was a great game. I like that Scum and Villainy deck, especially after I put both those corrupt officer
I'm going to have to do that.
Objectives in. Man, those guys, if you can pull, I pulled 3 of the 4.
Yeah. So do you have 12 objectives in there now?
I have 12.
Yeah.
Yes. Because now I got Dengar.
Yeah.
Basically what I did is I had 2 neutrals.
Yeah.
And then I took those out and I put Dengars and then I put that other corrupt in there and made 12 still. So, all right, a little off track. But speaking of, we've got a new podcast, part of the 21 Network.
Yeah.
It is a Star Wars the card game podcast. So we are big fans of it. Casey's brother Corey, who's on KooCast, is a big fan of it. So we are going to be talking about that. Not a weekly podcast. It's kind of an every once in a while. I mean, honestly, there might be a time where we actually put 2 out a week, but then we might not put one out for a couple weeks, or we're at least going to do once every couple weeks or something like that, or once a month at least, because we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be also commentating some of the games and stuff like that matches we do. So we're just diving into it and then trying to spread the awareness of it. So this podcast is called Star Wars TCG, and you can get subscribe to it at StarWarsTCG.com. Follow it on Twitter, Star Wars TCG. So all the links aren't on the network stuff yet, but that stuff's getting worked on right now. So sooner or later, they'll all be connected again. So, all right, on to this show, which is a brand new month.
Yeah.
We don't really have a themed month going.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, actually we do.
I mean,
so we are actually kind of running a mashup. We did mashup in August with KooCast. We're actually doing a pseudo mashup with Popular Fanatics, Chad Perkins' podcast that comes out every Wednesday. It's mainly us with Popular Fanatics.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is you're going to hear me and Casey on Popular Fanatics this month because we're going to talk about nothing but the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Just the movies.
It's about time someone says their opinion about Star Wars.
Yes.
Especially on these podcasts.
We haven't. That's the weird thing is we haven't talked about the movies at all.
Not like a straight up opinion, I think.
No.
No.
We've given our opinion a lot about the Clone Wars series,
and just Star Wars in general and the new stuff.
Which kind of ties into what we're doing, and then Star Wars in general. But what we're going to do is since there's 4 weeks in the month, 4 shows in the month on Popular Fanatics. The first one you're going to get episode 4. We're going to tell you everything great about episode 4. The second week is Empire. The third week, Jedi. The fourth week is going to wrap up all the prequels into one episode. So what we're going to do with this show, in conjunction with that, we're going to do the other side of it, the TV side. So we're going to do the Clone Wars.
Right.
We're going to highlight and profile people from the Clone Wars. Hence, this one being about Asajj Ventress. Mm-hmm. So,
specifically like the Clone Wars show, I guess. I mean, there are like a lot of books and stuff like that, but we're the animated shows.
Correct. Yeah.
Both
the 2D and the 3D.
Yes.
We're going to be hitting on both of those. Yeah, in honor. Basically, we're doing this in honor of the release of season 5. Mm-hmm. They're also doing a full box set of the entire show, and then they're re-releasing the movies.
Yeah.
In DVD Blu-ray combo packs. I don't think there's any changes.
That I've heard of
yet.
Yeah.
I've actually tried to research that, but I haven't found anything. So we'll see. Since Lucas is not behind this anymore,
I wonder if Disney will do
he might have made some before the sellout, though. You know what I mean?
Wait, we do some. Okay, done.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows how long he's been working and tinkering? You know what I mean? So, all right. So if you are a fan of the Clone Wars, you will know about Asajj Ventress. She first appeared you said she first appeared in a comic.
A comic book. Like, I first heard of or read of her in an EU book called Dark Rendezvous, which I've mentioned in the show before.
Right.
That was the first time I read of her, and that came out
that was the one before episode 3, correct?
I think a year before episode 3.
Yeah.
So that was my first. And I always
so she was in that, huh?
Briefly.
Yeah.
I always pronounced it Asajj, because I don't know. I didn't know if she was a woman, honestly. I was just like, all right, Asajj Ventress, it's some other Dark Jedi.
Now, when did the 2D come out? Before episode 3, did it not?
Yeah, it was around right after Clone Wars. The movie Clone Wars. It was 03, I think.
No. The 2D.
The 2D. Yeah, I think it came out like around...
That came out before episode 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like after episode 2.
Yeah. Well, I think it came out leading up to episode... Because the end of the 2D was the Battle of Coruscant.
Well, the thing with that show is... It wasn't consistent seasons or anything like that.
Correct.
Like, they were very spaced out.
They were like only 7 minutes long.
Sometimes
like
or even shorter than that. But yeah, I mean, it was like a 3-year gap, so it was very. There aren't many episodes.
There's 2 volumes.
Yeah.
One volume came out.
Yeah.
I think it was only like 5 or 6 shows, maybe.
Yeah, but the whole show itself equals up to 30 minutes or 45 minutes. But they spaced it out across 3 years.
And then the second one was a bigger take, and it was more about Anakin.
Yeah.
Going and getting, when he's on that planet, getting, just weird stuff happening to him. But Ventress shows up on that.
Yeah.
So you're saying the book
see, that's the thing.
Came out around that same time.
That's the thing, she was first appeared in a comic book, but, she was initially created by George Lucas. Which we can talk about now or later if you want, her initial creation.
Yeah, we can.
So, basically, when episode 2 was, Lucas was writing episode 2, he thought a Palpatine's new apprentice should be a woman named, and I think the first name they came up with was Juno Eclipse.
Really?
And the sketch was Asajj Ventress. But the holocron keeper of the holocron guy, I think, I can't remember, is it Leland or something like that? Mm-hmm. The super smart guy who holds all the continuity. He changed the name from Juno Eclipse because he didn't think it sounded evil enough. So he gave it Asajj Ventress. And Asajj is influenced by some old Japanese Kiro. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of this guy's name. Kurosawa. Sorry, Kurosawa movie.
Films,
yeah. So that was how they came up with Asajj, and then they said, all right, let's just do a guy. So they did Count Dooku, and they saved the name Juno Eclipse for the character in Force Unleashed. So I guess they kind of scrapped the character of Asajj, but then I assume the authors or whoever picked up on it and used it in a comic book, and therefore it went to the Clone Wars, all that stuff. So we first saw her in a comic book, but she was initially created by George Lucas. So there you go.
So the comic book was before the book, you're saying too, then, right?
Oh, before Dark Rendezvous, I think so. It had to have been, yeah.
Okay, so everybody, I think she's introduced in Volume 1 of the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, I think
very early on, because Dooku's looking for an apprentice,
right?
So, but before we get to that point, we trace her back to her birth. Now, there's no record of what year she was actually born. But she is Dathomirian, which we've talked about that with Darth Maul. Mm-hmm. He is a Dathomirian male. She is a female Dathomirian, born from a Night Sister on Dathomir, and forced to give up.
Yeah.
Her night sister mother was forced to give her up to a Sinistine criminal named Hal Stead in order to protect the Night Sisters. So they had to give her up. He ends up scooping her up and takes her to Ratatak, a planet, different planet, where he raised her. Mm-hmm. But eventually he was killed by a bunch of Weequay raiders, leaving Asajj obviously on her own, and she would have basically got killed too. Just so happens a male Jedi named Kai Karak. Correct. Is that what I'm saying? Correct.
Yes. Narek? Wait, is it Narek? Okay, hold on.
No, Narek, you're right.
Yeah.
So he crash lands on Ratatak, and basically around the time this happens, and sees Ventress basically defending herself, and sees that she uses force pushing, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he sees the force in her, and decides after they fight off the raiders to train her as, even though he never saw it any count in the council.
He was cut off from the Jedi
right.
Order,
Yeah,
so.
he's basically stranded there.
Yeah, so he's just doing it once.
So he takes her as a Padawan, trains her, and they become master and apprentice, and basically help the planet. They stop a bunch of rival armies, and just wars breaking out that they end up stopping because, the Jedi are guardians of peace in the galaxy. So, but unfortunately, Kai ends up getting killed. And this loss and pain does what it does to every Jedi with loss and pain. Causes Asajj to fall to the dark side, and basically she ends up hunting down and obviously killing all the warlords that killed Kai. Tattoos her head, that's where she gets all those tattoos, and basically then starts ruling Ratatak. After, of course, I think she builds takes a castle or builds a castle in there or something like that. I think she had them built. Basically enslaves everybody and becomes the ruler of Ratatak. I mean, she's running this planet, and that is the planet that Count Dooku goes to.
Yeah.
And witnesses her fighting. So the lightsabers are from, the one is hers and the one is from her master.
Yeah.
When she has the two, when she's fighting in that arena.
Yeah, she has a blue and a green one.
She does.
We're talking about, you can watch this on the 2D macro series, Clone Wars.
That's right.
Where she fights these people.
Dooku witnesses it, and it's funny because I remember that show where she claims, "I am Sith."
Yeah, well, and
he's like, "You are not."
Yeah, it was really cool. I think what it was, she was trying to, I don't know if she was trying to kill Dooku.
No.
But she was sneaking up behind him though. She was she took out some guys and she was in a robe.
Basically what they were all fighting for is to be the next assassin for Dooku. She ends up wiping everybody out.
Yeah.
And says, "I am Sith." He comes down there and basically says, "You are not," and I think he throws her against the wall, and then she fights him and doesn't do anything to him, obviously.
Yeah, he takes her.
Does that sound right?
No, that's right. But I think before, she just walks in, kind of trying to sneak up behind Dooku, and he's like, he
really?
tempts her.
That's right.
And she takes off the road and jumps into the arena, then fights everybody. Something like that happens.
Absolutely. I think you're right.
Because I think she's because that's what, you are no Sith. She's telling him, you are no Sith. You're like an old man.
Yes.
And he's like, all right. Then he takes her out. Yeah.
And then he ends up giving, now this is pretty cool, he ends up giving her those double lightsabers that connect to make a saber staff. But those were actually the lightsabers of his former Padawan.
Yeah.
Obviously, he put red crystals on them, but Dooku, but at that point, obviously, is the Darth Tyrannus.
That's the one that he lost to Jango. That the profile, we mentioned that.
Yes.
Last week.
You're right. So at that point, she's got a very brief history as far as ruling on Ratatak this whole time, and then obviously getting recruited. Now, if you watch the Clone Wars, you can follow her story. She's in pretty much every season of the 3D Clone Wars animation. She becomes, a big proponent of leading the Separatists on different battles.
Mm-hmm.
Fights Luke, fights Obi-Wan several times, and Ahsoka. Eventually, though, she is, as far as the story goes, I think she gets cut off from Dooku somehow.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think Sidious tells him to kill her, I think, right?
Something like that.
And then she survives, though, and makes her way back to Dathomir.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when, the Night Sisters take her back in. She becomes an assassin with them. That is about the time that Darth Maul reappears.
Right.
And then Savage Opress appeared. His brother shows up. Dooku takes him as his apprentice, or not his apprentice necessarily, but just an assassin. And eventually, I thought what was really cool is that Ventress eventually hooks up with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And Bossk and Aurra Sing, and becomes a bounty hunter. And through the series, she ends up playing a pretty big part in what ended up being the last season, this past season 5, where Ahsoka is basically set up.
Yeah, framed. For, was it for murder, right?
For killing or bombing the Jedi Temple or something like that. And she escapes, trying to track down, and runs into Ventress at the bottom. This is where levels that we saw the
one of the levels of Coruscant. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That was pretty cool.
Because that was after we knew 1313 was coming, and she runs into Ventress alive. Ventress actually helps her get the clues to figure out the story. But and then of course that's the last time we see her, right? I think that's the last time we see her. So she plays, like I said, a significant part of the Clone Wars, both sides, as far as helping the Separatists, helping the Sith, and then ultimately she ends up helping. Now she does it in order to get her name cleared, I think, at one point, but she ends up helping Ahsoka. So. What do you think about Ventress? Are we gonna see her again?
I don't know. I mean, I hope so. Maybe even the Rebels show. I think it's likely, but who knows? I was trying to find here what is her last story, because there might be a Clone Wars story book set after where the show left off.
I don't know if there is, because there's nothing in between. I don't think the movies yet, right? Rebels is going to be the first thing really. Yeah. Between 3 and 4, besides Force Unleashed.
Well, I'm looking through here. What is this? What source is that? I'm looking where it says something about around 19 BBY. She goes back to the service of Count Dooku. But that's from a role playing game. That's not even, I don't think, technically canon.
Extinction of the Sun Guard.
Yeah. I don't think that's technically canon.
Well, it says, and the Separatist movement. So that's before the end of the Clone Wars.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, so her end is hazy. She's obviously still around. Unless we get her in the bonus content.
Here it is. Here it says legacy. In 16 BBY, Obi-Wan wrote in his journal that he was reminded of Ventress by a desert plant during his exile on Tatooine. He then planted seeds in memory of her.
No, I mean, he doesn't know.
So he doesn't know. It says, despite appearances to the contrary, Ventress did not die, instead placing herself in the Sith trance on Ba's pity, using her Sith healing techniques to heal the wounds she suffered. She was loaded aboard the Med Runner Bright Flight, and while on board, emerged from her trance and ordered the pilots to alter the course to take her as far away as possible from the war, Dooku and the Jedi. The pilots complied. So, I mean, she's left during the war still.
Yeah.
That must have happened after the Clone Wars ended.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, unless we see her in the bonus content, then she's still out there. We can see her at any point, I guess, in the Rebels show, maybe. I mean, Dave Filoni made her what she is pretty much, so I would think he'd like to stick with her at some point, but maybe not. Maybe he wants to go with totally new characters. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I think I heard somewhere that he wants to keep, like, from one of the producers, that we will see some recognizable characters, but we won't know for sure. I doubt we'll see her in a movie. I don't think we'll see her in a movie.
No, I don't think so either.
That'd be cool, though. That'd be pretty sweet.
Unless something happens, early, after episode 3 or something like that.
Well, I mean, gosh, live action TV show. Come on.
I know. God bless.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will. Was she in The Force Unleashed?
No, but that is the one thing I was going to mention. There's a cheat that you can. It's an unlockable thing.
Oh, okay.
You can type in this little code somewhere. I guess the cheat code or whatever, and you can play as Asajj. And I didn't know either that in Battlefront 2, you can download her off Xbox Live to play as her in Battlefront 2, which I never knew that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Battlefront 2 is an old game.
Yeah.
So, if I knew that, I would have done that. And in Force Unleashed, too.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you know.
Yeah,
that's what we know about Asajj Ventress.
That's all the important stuff. She had a lot of little skirmishes, but
yes.
Yeah.
You want to see that?
Yeah.
Buy the Blu-ray set when it comes out, or the DVD set when it comes out this month. You can get the whole series, all 5 seasons.
And like I said, there's a lot of comic books too, scattered throughout the world, I guess. I don't know, with her in it.
True. All right, so moving on. Star Wars news.
Okay.
More rumors, apparently.
More rumors. Well, I think last week I mentioned that Episode 7, it's reported that it'll shoot in New Mexico. I don't know if I mentioned that. Well, now it's being reported that it will not shoot in New Mexico. So it says it was never on the list. That was contradicting reports, so whatever. Sometimes I feel like I don't even feel like reporting this stuff because all this is conjecture.
It is.
So another rumor, Episode 7 to shoot partly in IMAX. I guess the IMAX people are talking to J.J. Abrams about it because I wouldn't see J.J. Abrams really wanting to do IMAX. I don't know. He seems like a
Was Star Trek not released in IMAX?
Well, maybe it might have been released, but I don't think it was shot in IMAX.
Oh.
I don't think so. I don't know. But J.J. Abrams seems like the guy who really wants to stick to as many traditional techniques as possible. And I don't know. Nolan's a pretty traditional guy, too. He was a film guy, not digital. I don't know. I mean, that'd be cool. Episode 7 and IMAX, sure. I mean, Star Wars. Why wouldn't you not want it to be in IMAX?
Yeah, that'll make me go see an IMAX for sure.
Yes. Another rumor. Last week I mentioned there was a rumor casting call for a character that's basically fits the description of Chewbacca, like a really tall guy. They're looking for a really tall guy.
I know, that sucks.
Now they're saying that this one gentleman has been in touch, being casted, or not casted, but I guess, but been approached to audition for it. His name is Johnny Mathers, and don't know this guy. I think is he a musician? Hold on, I don't know. Some guy I don't even know. Johnny Mathis, apparently. So I guess they might be looking for a Chewbacca. It just kind of further confirms that rumor that they might be looking for a new guy to play Chewbacca. So there's that.
There's that.
And then another rumor. This was actually sounds pretty cool. For Star Wars Rebels, rumor is that the show will take place 8 years after Episode 3, which will be 12 years. Oh, wait, 11 years before Episode 4.
4.
So, because it comes from, basically, I'm pretty sure this is, it says a rumor, but it sounds like it could be pretty true. Apparently, there's a pretty good source saying that somebody from the show leaked saying that Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia will be 8 years old during the series, but they're not in it. So I guess that's kind of an indirect way of saying the show is going to take place 8 years after Episode 3. So, sounds kind of cool.
That's pretty good. That's about right.
Yeah.
You would think it'd take place about halfway through, maybe.
And I think there's a New York Comic Con is coming up soon.
I was just about to look up the dates. Yeah.
So they're apparently going to be talking about that because someone tweeted this rumor that will be set 8 years after, and then Pablo Hidalgo, which I've heard of his name. Is he associated with the show, or is he a news guy? Let me look him up real quick. But he says they'll talk about it at New York Comic Con.
I think he's part of the show. Isn't he part of Lucas?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's in Yeah, I'm trying to figure out exactly what he's for Rebels. He's
I think
an
he's
author.
one of the producers. No, he might be one of the producers.
Yeah, it might be.
Of the show.
I just quickly found out he's a
With Filoni.
Yeah, he's an author, so maybe we're doing that too. But so they're talking about that New York Comic Con.
And New York Comic Con is next weekend, not this coming weekend. So it's October 10th through the 13th. So in 2 weeks, obviously our show will happen before next week.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks, we should have hopefully the footage, whatever footage they're going to show.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get something from them.
Hopefully we'll see something of that.
And this next piece, it's not really news, I guess. It's pretty cool. J.J. Abrams was on an interview. He was on talk show. What show was this? The Travis Smiley show on PBS, talking a little bit about Star Wars. Because there are some fears out there, and I've heard this several times, that people are afraid that Disney they're going to Disneyfy Star Wars. And I've heard this. I've always thought they won't, because obviously Marvel's not Disneyfied. And J.J. Abrams just went on fact in saying Disney doesn't want that. They don't want to Disneyfy, because and he says, they basically recognize that too, that they understand that people are afraid of this, and they don't want to, I guess, ruin the image of Star Wars by sticking mouse ears on everything. So they're going to keep it the way it is, the way we all love it is, the way we all love it to be, I guess. Which would be interesting because there's different generations love it for different reasons.
Realistically, I don't know what that means, Disneyfied, because the movies are PG anyway.
Yeah.
So you can't really.
I think what they mean is bubblegum, cookie cutter kind of stuff. Like basically like the old. I think everybody's just worried about the old Disney movies. Like Lion King or Aladdin, those kind of stuff.
Nah, I mean,
like everything's so happy and good. There's all this stuff.
There's a lot of tragedy in like Lion King, especially.
There really is. It really is. Now, honestly, there's a lot of Star Wars. You have Darth Vader in it already, but I guess like especially I guess now the Disney movies of today, which are these musical, hoppy boppy kind of stupid High School Musical kind of stuff. So I think
I think you have that side, but then you still have your animation side.
Yeah.
But even those are like...
Yeah, I mean...
some kids shouldn't watch some of those.
Yeah.
Like Tangled. I mean, we were watching Tangled. Like,
I haven't seen all of it, yeah.
I mean, there's some darkness in that movie.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
Guy, yeah. The big thing.
Yeah, and Brave is pretty dark.
There's a butt in Brave. There's an animated butt.
All the three little boys, you see their butts. But I think you're right. I think because of Marvel, those movies, I mean, those are... even though they're lighthearted in the comedy side as well, there's a lot of battling and dying and stuff in there. Man. So I really think that we're going to get how Star Trek feels.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a lot of Star Wars people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Abrams has that kind of. It's not just Star Trek. I mean, if you watch Super 8, you watch a lot of stuff that he's done. There's a feeling to his movies,
Absolutely.
and I love it. So I think that'll carry over. I don't think Disney's going to do that.
I think the only difference we'll see from Star Trek, because he's talked a lot about that too. I think he's getting really annoyed about all these questions about Star Wars, Star Trek. But Star Trek is very obviously Earth based, very realistic sci-fi. And Star Wars is sci-fi too, but it's more mythological, and the more they don't dress modern. They dress basically how we think of the olden days, or whatever, like medieval times or whatever. So there is a different superficial look to Star Wars, absolutely. So I think we'll get a real Star Wars movie. It's gonna be Star Wars.
I just got chills thinking about watching The Crawl.
Honestly, okay, me and Adam, my buddy Adam was here for this past month. He just left. I hate it because we've had a lot of good talks about Star Wars, and I wish he was on the show to talk about it.
Oh yeah,
that's his big thing. Like he's like, because we talked the hypothetical situation. If we got the script, if we somehow got a leaked script, would I leak it? Like, would I share it with the world if I had it? And I'd be like, honestly, would I even read it? It's like, I don't think I could read it. Maybe the first 5 pages, or maybe even that. I don't know. It'd be really hard.
I would definitely read it.
The whole thing, you would?
Yes, I would definitely read it, because that does not, because I read each novel before I saw the movies.
I read episode 3 novel too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those didn't destroy my viewing of it. I mean,
that's true.
It basically just And heightened it.
But see, like you said, we're going into this one with absolutely no knowledge whatsoever.
No.
So, like, reading the episode 3 book, I kind of knew what was going to happen anyways.
Yeah, right.
So, what Adam said, though, he said, I would at least read the crawl. Because I have not felt any such anticipation for anything except for that opening crawl. Like, what's that going to say?
Well, it's cool that they, I remember with the prequels, that was one of the things that they did was, they released a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
And then they released a full trailer.
Yeah.
And then they released the crawl.
Yeah.
So they recognize that people want to read that.
Yeah.
So I remember reading the crawl for all those movies before I went and saw it. But like I said, I read the novels. And honestly, I wouldn't have read the novels. Actually, I think I read episode 1 after. Because I didn't know anything about episode 1 going in. So I read the novel after that, and I was so into it. That's why I read number 2. I read episode 2 before it happened, but I also read. I think episode 3. I also read the graphic novel. Mm-hmm. So, I wanted to. I mean, it doesn't. That's the one thing. It's hard for me to wait for Star Wars. It's hard for me to wait for. If there's something out there that I can read, or script or book, I'll probably do it.
What? Yeah, I mean that's what's.
To be honest, I don't know if I'll do for episode 7 though. That's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
To do. Or not do. It is going to... If you put it in front of me, I will do it. But if I had a choice to go buy it, I probably won't.
No.
Because that is going to be a good question, because you're obviously probably going to novelize it.
Oh, yeah.
Will it come out before the movie or not? Or will they try to keep it secret?
JJ is super secret.
I know.
So
even his trailers, it's going to be questionable how much we actually see in the trailer.
It's probably just going to be like a lightsaber ignite.
Let's predict that. When do you think we'll actually see our first teaser of episode 7? Now, hence, we haven't had we haven't had a confirmed release date yet, right?
No, we haven't.
It is completely rumored that it may come out December of 2015.
Yeah.
Which would kill me because it's got to be May.
Yeah.
Every movie comes out in May. So I don't think they can do it though. I don't know if that would mean they would only give them a little over a year to finish this thing. Now, I believe they're farther along than they speculate, especially with visual effects. They're probably already starting visual effects. Just like, I think, side note, David Goyer came out and said, we're further along in Batman Superman than people realize.
Yes. Yeah.
That's, we start hearing these things back in Comic-Con. They're not just sitting around still trying to decide what to do. They've been working on this
Batman,
thing.
Superman.
Yeah.
Star Wars
it's... movies take 2 or 3 years, but it's still, they're hard at work at it. So,
well, I mean, usually Abrams has his teasers a year before,
sometimes longer.
Yeah, well, I think of like Super 8 and Cloverfield were about a year.
Well, I know Cloverfield was exactly a year.
Yeah, Super 8 was like a year and a few months, right? That was several.
Do what?
Super 8 was like a year and then some.
Yeah, I think it was a little over a year.
So, if not by next May. I would like to see one at least by next May, 2 years out, or no, 1 year out. A little before, because they're shooting.
You don't know if it's 1 year. Could be 1 year and a half.
But like, they're shooting they started very beginning of February, maybe end of January.
Yeah, I would say January, February.
But even if they had a teaser trailer of just because they were,
you could do a teaser without shooting anything.
Yeah, like I said, you're working on visual effects. If they just did a teaser of like a huge aerial shot going through Coruscant, leading up to like the new Jedi Temple or something like that. Yeah. Or Yavin 4 leading up to a Jedi Temple. Something like that. Just a shot through a planet, ending on some significant object. Then, boom. Yeah, that's it.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now what I want to see. This is what I want to see. If I was in charge of cutting the teaser trailer, this is what I would do. I would make sure, obviously, I think there's no doubt that Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford are going to be in the movie. I would do strictly like what Dark Knight did.
Yeah.
I would do a black screen.
Yeah.
And I would do their voices.
Just having a conversation?
Just about what's happening in the movie. Like, I can't believe, whatever. Yeah. Han, almost probably just a Han and Leia conversation.
About their kids, maybe.
About their kids, about something's wrong, something's happening. Maybe hear some stuff, like blasters or explosions. And all of a sudden, a lightsaber ignites. Yeah. And it's Luke standing there.
Yeah. Oh, you actually want to see something.
See Luke. Just that. just the ignite and just the glow of his lightsaber on his face.
Yeah.
How awesome
that'd be cool.
Would that be?
That'd be really
That's
cool.
all I got to see. That's all I got to see right now.
Yeah. That's really cool. And I know, I mean, I'm surprised at how many people have their opinion of they don't want the original people in it, or they do, or they don't want them in it that much.
I don't think they're going to be in it that much.
See, I feel like that they will. I mean, maybe throughout the trilogy.
Yeah, I think they may grow depending on how their story unfolds. Yeah. But I really think that one or two of them may die.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's inevitable that, because I really think that if you want to talk about themes, because here's the thing is I definitely believe that Lucas, you can tell he has themes.
Yeah,
like a lot of things are repeated in the prequels as they are in the originals.
Right.
And I think in his mind, maybe before this even unfolded, I always thought that Luke is becoming that Obi-Wan character.
Yeah.
And usually there's always that sacrifice that happens.
Yeah.
In the prequels, it was Qui-Gon. So I definitely think Luke...
In the first movie?
Yes, but then think about it. He becomes a Force ghost then.
Yeah.
To possibly carry on.
Yeah.
And whoever is because I don't think he's the ultimate, the true hero of the story. I think there's going to be somebody else that's the hero. I really do think that those guys are going to be more secondary characters than lead characters. So, it sounds like Chewbacca is going to be in it if this casting is right, which it makes sense. I mean, he'll be in it.
I think Chewbacca will die.
But see, that's the thing is that he does die in the expanded universe. So this will obviously alter his.
If he's alive by the beginning, yeah.
When did he die? Did he die in the Throne trilogy?
No, he died right at the start of the New Jedi Order series, which was 25, about 25.
Okay,
around that time.
So this would be after that.
Yeah.
So that would eliminate that canon, obviously.
But see, I love that story because he dies sending Han Solo down just a spiral path of depression and just anger. You know, it was such a good story. I think character arc for him. So I would love to see that again.
It would. I wouldn't be. It would not surprise me if a couple or even all of those original characters.
I don't know if I could see the Millennium Falcon getting destroyed.
I'm telling you, he destroys the hell out of the Enterprise.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. There's going to be a lot of emotion in this movie.
I want to cry a lot.
Oh man,
like Man of Steel.
I might cry before it even starts.
Man of Steel. I was sweating and crying mixture. I don't know what was what. This I want even more. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm telling you. Okay.
So last piece of news here, about the live action show. With the premiere of Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is done by ABC. ABC is owned by Disney. They are now. There's rumors that they're in talks again to bring back the Star Wars live action show on ABC. Now we've heard this before from one of the ABC presidents saying that they're in talks with Lucasfilm about future projects, potentially maybe talking about doing a live action show again. That was actually confirmed. That was an interview that this guy said. We were talking about him. I guess this is a rumor that they're talking even more about it or whatever. But there's kind of different talks saying the show might not be as dark as it was initially thought of, because before Lucas and Rick McCallum was saying this would be like the Sopranos kind of Star Wars, and it's going to be Star Wars Underworld. It's going to be about the scum kind of Star Wars. So they're saying it might not necessarily be like that, or it might not even be in the same time period as what initially thought. Because before I think they were talking about between 3 and 4, but now they're saying maybe between 3 and 4, or maybe even between 6 and 7 to kind of reintroduce the new mythology that they're going to have with the new movies.
That'd be cool.
So there's that, and maybe we'll hear something about hear about this maybe during Comic-Con if it's even real. But I just would love to see it. I mean, gosh, maybe Disney's got the money to do this.
And last I heard through an interview, I think it was McCallum too, that they've got 50 scripts.
Yes, they do.
They just can't afford it. So
that would be a lot of money.
Whether or not they stick with those, though, or start from scratch is
true.
a big question because
that's so much.
Yeah.
I would say if they're going to start from scratch, at least make those into a book or something.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't get rid of Star Wars.
An animated show or something.
Yeah, you can't.
Do an animated show with those. And then, there's... I don't know if you heard this. I don't know if it was me and you talking about this, but somebody told me, maybe it was you, about the whole Seth Green interview about... Have you read about this with Detours?
Oh, I told you they might come back.
Right.
Yeah, we mentioned on the show the other while.
Was that last week? No, that was...
a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago.
okay.
But how... Yeah, they might introduce it.
Okay, I thought I just read that this past week. Okay, so that's... that show, that's another show that might rear its head.
But 1313 is still canceled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is canceled. But the Detours, I'm wondering if that would end up on like a Disney XD channel or...
the content wasn't bad, really.
No.
So I think it could.
Now, what other... Disney's got to own other channels, don't they? Do
they
not own any channels besides Disney?
I mean, like ESPN, they own ABC Family in addition to ABC. They own a lot, I'm sure.
So I don't know if they could find a Detours on some other channel or not, but
I don't think they don't own Cartoon Network. That's DC. That's Warner Bros.
Yeah, that's Warner Bros. Okay, so
that's all the news.
That's all the news. Recent or upcoming releases. The Star Wars, the comic book number 2 is coming out this Wednesday. That's the one based on George Lucas's original draft of Star Wars, mini-series, limited series. I think it's only 8 issues. We are going to get number 2 this Wednesday, so we'll have that for you, the review of that next week. And then next week, a week from Wednesday, which is the 9th, Star Wars, the Star Wars comic, just Star Wars number 10 is coming out. So that'll be out right before Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, that is. So the week after that, we'll have that review as well as whatever comes out of Comic-Con. We'll be talking about that kind of stuff. So big show here in a couple weeks. Next week, again, we'll continue on with Clone Wars, profiling somebody else from the Clone Wars. But check us out on Popular Fanatics. Every week this month, we are sitting down with Chad Perkins and Corey Cooley, and we are talking about the movies, Star Wars movies. So, all right, here we go with trivia. Obsessed with Star Wars. Here we go. Of course, the records are I'm 15-12, Casey 16-11. And this is question 1805. 1805. Okay.
A good year.
Yes. So this is going to be Empire Strikes Back era. 1805. All right. Ooh. Did we profile Zuckuss? I can't remember if we did or not. I don't think we did.
We talked a lot about him.
I know. This is a Zuckuss question. Did we do Zuckuss?
Well,
I think we did do Zuckuss.
Yeah, I think we did.
Is he the uncanny one?
Yeah, because of his powers. Yeah, we did profile him.
Okay.
Well,
here we go. Let's see if that helps us out here.
All right.
Question 1805. For how many centuries had Zuckuss's family followed the Feinsman tradition? For how many centuries, which is 100 years, had Zuckuss's family followed the Feinsman tradition? A, 3, B, 2, C, 6, or D, 1? So basically 1, 2, 3, or 6.
I'm going to go with 6, whichever 6 is.
Okay, so that's C. So how many centuries have we found with the Feinsman tradition? You're saying 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to be different, just so that I can try to get a leg up here. For how many centuries has Zuckuss family followed the Feinsman tradition? Man. I'm going to go... I'm either going 2 or 1. I think I'm going to go 2. I'm just going to go 2 anyway.
Okay.
2, B. So I'll answer for C. And Incorrect, and the answer is A.
Three. See, I was just thinking because when we profiled, he was the first one to like break tradition, right?
I don't remember.
I feel like we read like he was like the first one to break whatever his racist tradition of like being independent. Or whatever.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, maybe forever. So I'll just pick the largest number.
Yeah.
Whatever. Both lost.
3 was the second largest number. Okay, so I've had my chances the last couple weeks to take the lead, and I can't. We keep missing. We've been missing them actually.
We're missing a lot.
These last
hard questions.
So I think we're actually gonna try to pull one of the guys from Fanatics on here, during this month. So we'll they'll go on trivia as well. They've done trivia before. Chad has been on the show twice. He's 2-0.
Yeah.
And Corey's been on the whole month of August, and he was 3-1.
Yeah.
So we're keeping track. All right, so that will do it for us this week on Inside the Force. Thanks for not watching. Hey, you're watching us.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We are at Inside the Force on Twitter. Follow us there. Tweet us your questions and comments. You can go to our website, InsideTheForce.com, to watch all. Why do I keep saying watch? To listen to all this TV talk and stuff.
Too used to talking about Seton. You're too used to that.
Yeah, I know. Listen to all the shows, all 28 episodes of the show right there. Subscribe to our RSS feed and iTunes right there. We are also on Stitcher Radio and TuneIn Radio. You can get those apps in the App Store, as well as on your Android or iPhone. All right. 4, Casey Cooley.
The dark side is strong in me, for I am Sith. That was the
line?
That was the line we were trying to talk
Very
about.
good.
Yeah, I'm gonna instead do Clone Wars quotes this whole month.
Good,
so you might not
good.
recognize it. Everybody out there.
All right, tune in next week for another episode in diving into the Clone Wars, and check out Popular Fanatics on Wednesday when we talk about Episode 4, A New Hope. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm David Cottingham, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network, a collection of weekly podcasts. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.